and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we do have a lot of Barca news to bring you, and some big news as well. Today, we're going over all of the transfer latest, of course, including Hansi Flick's most recent transfer requests, and we have more examples, very exciting examples, of his growing influence inside of the club. But of course, we do have a big Nico Williams update. There's lots of conflicting reports right now in the media. What is true? What is not? We are going to get to the bottom of all of that. It's coming up for you. So come on, and let's do this. But I would indeed like to begin right here with a familiar face and name. It is Fransisco Trincão, who is coming off the back of a quite sensational season there in Portugal. He really has recaptured his very best level. He's got his confidence back now. He's looking like a really complete player, and he's grabbed the attention of many top clubs around Europe. And again, the reason that I'm telling you all of this is because there is a Barca angle. Barca are entitled, don't forget, of 50% of any future profit that Sporting make on any potential sale. Which, by the way, that's a big deal. You know, when it comes to Trincão right now, we're hearing rumours of 50 million, you know, big valuations. That would be big money for Barca this summer. If he was to be sold by Sporting, we would have a significant windfall. And that is why Barca right now, we're hearing in the media, they are in constant conversation with Jorge Mendes, Trincão's agent. They would love for him to be sold. Barca are actively pushing for that to happen. You know, they're saying to Jorge Mendes, can you make it happen? Can you facilitate a move? They would love that extra money coming in. But right now, it is looking tricky. The latest on Trincão is that he may actually this summer be close to renewing at the club. Sporting, they are desperately trying to get him to renew. Apparently, they're going to give him the number 10 shirt. They're also going to give him potentially the captain's armband. They really do want him to stay. So right now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It would have been great to have that extra money, but as of right now, it hangs in the balance. We then, though, do move to the topic of the fantastic Hansi Flick. You know, I love talking about this guy, and we do have plenty today, because actually, one of the biggest changes that we all know Flick brought in at the beginning of his time as Barca coach, it was all about the intensity. It was all about their preparing in the right way. The training sessions, of course, were so vital for what we went on to see in the season out there on the field. And I think it's been really interesting to see over the weekend here, lots of reports coming out about Flick observing Barca Athletic and basically the standards that they have there, the training sessions there, the intensity. Because what Flick apparently saw throughout the season when he was looking at Barca Athletic players, when they came up to train with the first team, there was a significant difference in their physical preparation. They had not been prepared in the same way. They were ultimately not quite ready to make that step up. And it's ultimately because of that gulf in the physical preparation that there were instances in the season where maybe Flick would have liked to have called upon more Barca Athletic players, more younger players there to have an opportunity, but he didn't feel he could do that because they were not prepared in the way that he expected. So that was interesting there to hear that. And what is even more interesting now is that this summer, that issue is going to be addressed, because what we're hearing is that a new strength and conditioning coach will be appointed at Barca Athletic this summer. And he's actually going to come in there and work under Julio Tous, who has been outstanding in the first team. He has been absolutely colossal to our improvement there in the preparation. And the message from Flick here and everybody in the first team is, make them do what the first team does. Barca Athletic have to be exactly prepared in the way that the first team are. So we want there the A team and the B team completely aligned so that we can call upon these players, so that they can make that step up to the first team. And the idea is, if the preparation is the same, then hopefully it won't seem like such a big step up when they get their chance. And I just think that's another example of Hansi Flick's growing influence. You know, it's not only about what we see on the pitch, but it's about what he's doing behind the scenes. It's about the change in culture we've seen since he has arrived. And ultimately here, the work ethic that he's bringing not only to his players, not only to his staff, but everybody at the club. He's revolutionising the way that we're training and preparing right the way through now the ranks at Barca. But that is certainly not all on the topic there of Hansi Flick, because of course he's also been very hands-on in this summer transfer window. And what we've heard over the weekend again is that Flick is making more requests to Deco, because obviously in the summer transfer window so far, we've been quite active. We brought in there Joan Garcia. We're very, very close to finalising the deal for Rooney Bardghji, of course, coming in. And we've got the Nico Williams topic that we are going to come on to. But Flick is not really prepared to end it there. You know, he wants more coming in. He wants to bolster his squad even more. And he has apparently told Deco that after the signing of a winger, he would like a fullback and also a forward player there, whether that be a winger, whether it be somebody who can play as a forward, for instance, like Marcus Rashford, but he would also like a fullback. And I like here that Flick is pushing for what he needs. Because don't forget, last summer, when he arrived at the club, he sort of said, okay, I'm happy to come in, I'm happy to work with what I've already got, I'm going to maximise the squad that we have, I'm not going to make any demands, because look, I need to prove myself. And throughout the season, it became very, very clear what worked and what didn't. It became very, very clear where we need to add quality and depth. And Flick, of course, in that season, he has proven now he is certainly worth backing. So if he is asking the club for something, if he's saying, look, I need a fullback, I need a forward player, then that is what we should get him. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. For instance, guys, if we bring in Joan Garcia, if we bring in Nico Williams, if we've got somebody like Rooney Bardghji as well, and we add a fullback and another forward, would you call that a 10 out of 10 window? Would you say that is absolutely perfect? Was that everything that we could possibly ask for this summer? Or is there anywhere else? Is there any other position that maybe you feel as though we're short in? But I've got to be honest, if we manage to do that, that would be huge. We would move into next season stacked and ready, and ultimately ready to compete on all fronts. Hansi Flick deserves those options. But indeed, guys, we do have to move on to the topic of Nico Williams right here. Because let's be honest, you know, up until now, everything has been running very, very smoothly. We have been coming here day in, day out saying, look, Barca, they're just waiting. They're waiting for July. They're waiting to pay that release clause. We are all aware, it is no secret, they've never wanted to pay it now. You know, they've never wanted to pay it in June. They've always wanted to wait. So this wait, it's nothing out of the ordinary. There's nothing in that makes me think, oh, there's a problem there. We should be sounding the alarms. There's nothing at all to be concerned about on the face of things. However, coming out today, let's start with Fernando Polo, their MD. Now, he is somebody who has been pretty reliable, I've got to say, throughout the summer transfer window here. He is somebody who can often be very, very good in his reporting. He says today that these negotiations with Nico, over the past days, they've started to slow down. There is starting to be a bit of concern on both sides here, both on Nico's side and also on the club side, because when they were talking about the contract, when they were talking about the wages, the length of the deal, all the stuff like that, everything was fine. Everything was agreed upon. We said many, many times that Nico Williams is prepared to earn less at Barca than he could elsewhere. Nobody is doubting that commitment, and everything was fine on those negotiations. But apparently, according to Fernando Polo, once they got to the stage then of having agreed those terms, to actually getting it down on paper, to actually finalising then the official contracts that when that release clause is paid by Barca, Nico will sign that contract on the dotted line. Now, apparently, once we got to that more official stage, Fernando Polo says things have started to slow down. Nico Williams' agent, apparently, is starting to talk about guarantees. He's starting to talk about, okay, before we sign anything, before we really do proceed all the way down the line with this, we would like guarantees on the registration. Now, already, guys, I'm not sure about that, because throughout this entire process this summer, we have heard from Nico's camp, you know, we believe that he's willing to give the club the benefit of the doubt. He is willing this summer to do whatever it takes. He's willing to wait. He's willing to do everything that basically didn't happen last summer. Now, last summer, we know he wanted guarantees. He was very concerned about the registration. This summer, though, there hasn't been that same feeling. He has been willing to put faith in the club, to trust in the club that they will get him registered, especially given that he is the priority signing this summer. He is the big signing that the club are very much working on. So that is interesting there. Whether you believe those negotiations are slowed down, whether you believe that there have been a few things maybe the club didn't like, you know, they're not prepared to give ultimate guarantees, they're not prepared to sort of go above and beyond here, you know, in terms of dealing with agents, because don't forget, you know, you can't forget in all of this, and I think the important thing to remember, Nico came to us we can't forget here, Nico is the one in this summer transfer window. He made that first move. He made it very, very clear to Barca. We maybe weren't looking at him. We maybe weren't looking at him as a priority until he said, look, I want to come. I want to sign. I'm sorry about last summer. I regret what happened. I didn't want to carry that regret around with me. I want to put it right and sign here. So let's not forget, Nico wants to come here. So that's why some of these reports right now, I'm just not sure about. Now, Gerard Romero is coming out and saying that on his side, he can see that everything is still in line. He can see that everything is still pretty calm on Barca's side, on Nico's side. He doesn't believe there's too much alarm. But Gerard Romero does say today there are still people within the club who continue to believe that Luis Diaz would be a better signing and would be a better acquisition than Nico Williams would. So Romero says that somebody within the club has told their news outlet there that Luis Diaz would still be a better option. But that doesn't mean, again, that it's the majority inside of the club. You know, we could just be talking about Deco. He might just think, I'd still love Luis Diaz, but he might not get what he wants. There may be other people that believe that Nico would be the better signing. And of course, what we have to understand and what we do know, Bayern, they're still there. They're still very much lurking around in the shadows. They've left their offer very much on the table. Their offer, that, don't forget, is more than what Barca are offering, which is why this is not about money. You know, I don't believe here this is something about the agent, you know, trying to push for more, weren't really happy with the terms that were agreed. This has nothing to do with money. Nico is willing to come to Barca for less than offers that he has out there elsewhere. It may just be about the registration. Now, yesterday we spoke about the registration as being the biggest stumbling block. I think the clause will be easy. Barca can pay that no problem. The registration is going to be key. And I can still understand if Nico is a bit nervous about that. Because right now, to be honest, if you're a big player coming in at Barca, you're not quite sure, are you? You know, you look at what happened with Dani Olmo. That doesn't send out a great message. You know, Barca scrapping around, you know, trying to finalise things, trying to re-register, going to court. It's not a good look. It's not helpful. Of course, La Liga, you know, they're the worst kinds of people to deal with, but it's not easy. I can understand if there were a few nerves, a few jitters maybe from Nico Williams' camp. But do you want to know my opinion? I mean, I guess you do because you're here. You know, I'll give it to you anyway. But in my opinion, I still think it'll happen. You know, I believe, guys, that right now we're in the very final stages of June, and my honest opinion is that there are some news outlets out there that are getting a bit bored. You know, they don't have much to go on. Because look, over the past few days, I've not done a huge amount of uploads. The reason for that is it was very, very quiet at Barca. Now, in my opinion, I would rather say nothing and, you know, not upload than just create some nonsense, to just come out with stuff that just simply isn't true and just random speculation. I'd rather go down that route. But there are some people, you know, maybe it's MD today, who want to get something moving, who want to generate some clicks and some headlines while they're waiting for July to come. That could be the case. I do believe here that we're getting closer and closer and closer to the all-important month of July, and ultimately, we're going to find out very soon. We're going to be into July, and we're going to see a Barca paying that clause. When they pay the clause, what's going to happen then? It's going to be down to Nico. He's going to make that decision one way or another. And I still believe this is a move that's on track. This is a move that I believe will happen. The registration, it might not be easy. It certainly won't be instant. We still have a lot to do before we can get to that stage. But I do believe that Nico will have faith in the club, will be patient with the club. And like I say, very soon, in these days ahead of us now, it's all going to happen quickly. We will know a lot more. So that there, guys, is the very latest news right now on Barca and on Nico Williams in particular right here today. Please do let me know your thoughts on the whole Nico situation. Are you still confident? Are you as confident maybe as you were a few days ago? Has anything changed in your mind about this deal? And also let me know your thoughts as well on Hansi Flick's influence and what he is requesting from the club this summer, guys. I will see you soon, of course, with lots more coming up on the channel. We will keep bringing you the very, very latest here. Thank you for all of your incredible support. But until next time, as always, Vejka, El Barça.